Another Michigan State football season and another year where it seems like the injury bug is already up 35-3 and we're not even at halftime yet.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth are we all doing as we start another game week right here in East Lansing? Guys, thank you so much for making Locked On Spartans part of your game week routine right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, and comment below how insane the injury bug is driving you right now, because while I was watching the Lions game on Sunday, and this isn't Locked On Lions, but just bear with me here, I asked a rhetorical and non-rhetorical question to a group of friends as the Lions saw one of their top corners leave the game for seemingly a very long time. Is it possible to have football games without losing at least one or two players for the rest of the season? Because between the Lions, between our Michigan State Spartans, I almost have no memory of leaving a game with a clean bill of health or even just injuries, but they're minor. Because, guys, I know Michigan State obviously didn't even play last weekend. They came off a bye. But when Jonathan Smith spoke to the media today, yeah, there's a few guys that are going to be missing the rest of the season or extended time this year, which is also something we've already heard earlier this season because, yes, Alante Brown, wide receiver, Luka Vincic, that's a wide receiver, offensive lineman, if you weren't paying attention. They're already ruled out for pretty much the entire season. Alante Brown might be able to return, but yeah, those are long-term injuries. We already knew that last week at USC, Nick Marshy wasn't 100%. He was questionable the entire week, but here we go. On Monday, out of the bye week, and this is a kid that we're going to start with that didn't even travel to USC. This is linebacker Brady Pretzloff. He is out for the season, second-year player out of up north in Michigan. That is obviously a bummer. We'll get more into that in a little bit. And then your starting left tackle, Stanton Ramil, he is going to be out for what seems to be a month. He is not going to play at Nebraska. That's already been ruled out by Jonathan Smith. And guys, we saw last week at USC, Wayne Matthews get carted off the field. Now, interestingly enough, he has a chance to play on Saturday. Nikai Martinez, Quindarius Dunnigan, those two guys had a collision, knocked themselves both out of that game in Los Angeles. They each have a chance to play too, but my God, doesn't it seem like the most dominant player here for Michigan State the last few years is the injury bug? Because here we are, a third of the way through the season, and you're already down two starting offensive linemen. You're out Alante Brown. You're out of a backup linebacker, maybe a starting linebacker in Wayne Matthews if he can't go, but you get my point. It says this Spartan Stadium was built on top of a Native American burial ground, and we are just cursed forever. Anyway, let's get more into this Brady Pretzloff injury because was he a starter? No. Is he a young, promising player? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was the backup right behind your starting linebacker, Jordan Hall. And you saw the ramifications of that last week as Jordan Hall left the game to a targeting issue, which if I could just go off topic right now, we all remember the Jordan Hall targeting, right? And, I came away with it as, yeah, that's a bad rule. It's been the rule for a decade, though. Kind of seems like a rough way for a guy to, be removed from a game entirely. And then you saw the targeting play in the Penn State-Oregon game, and I wouldn't be so impassioned about this. I wouldn't even bring it up if it wasn't for the fact that it was brought to my attention that it was the same officiating crew at the Penn State game that it was the Michigan State at USC game. Jordan Hall grazes a USC player by incidental contact in the face mask out of the game. Penn State player tries to decapitate an Oregon Duck. No, yeah, fair play, game on. Unbelievable rule that the NCAA has going on right now. Anyway, guys, let's get back on topic here. Brady Pretzloff out for the rest of the season. Again, he's a second-year linebacker out of Gaylord, Michigan. Third highest graded, this is interestingly enough, which I saw in the USC game, and you saw it too, that Marcellius Polium, he was the guy that was the man in the middle of that linebacker core once Hall was out. You didn't have Pretzloff available. And Marcellius Polium did fine enough. Pro Football Focus graded him as the third highest guy on defense against USC. And also the highest graded guy against USC, I just want to give him a shout out too because Jonathan Smith gave him a shout out, is Ice Moa, the linebacker transfer out of BYU. He's been playing really solid this year overall, not even just the USC game. But Jonathan Smith said that they're going to look to get him a little bit more run because it's not just the USC game. I think in other spots he's been really good at. So Michigan State largely hasn't been great at rushing the passer on third down. So let's get into this left tackle injury, guys, because Stanton Ramil, I think he lasted, 8-9 snaps against USC before he had to leave the game. And Jonathan Smith, look, he's smart. He wasn't going to talk about how they're going to handle this at the left tackle position because there's two schools of thought. And one of the schools of thought is what they did last week. That's bring in Rustin Young, redshirt freshman, former 4-star, number 1 rated kid in the entire state of Hawaii. And yes, it is his second year on campus here. So he steps in against USC, 51 snaps, 3 pressures on 29 dropbacks allowed, which is that great for a left tackle? No, not necessarily. But is it horrible for a kid getting his first bulk snaps against a USC team that has a really good front? No, I think that overall, in a tight spot, I think that's a fine performance from Rustin Young there. So could he be who they plug in at left tackle? Now, this wasn't the only time that he's played so far this year. He allowed 1 pressure on 17 snaps against Youngstown State, and he also played 1 game against Ohio State last year. He got a handful of snaps in that one. So that's school of thought number 1. Do you keep Connor Moore at right tackle? You just throw Rustin Young in? Or here's school of thought number 2. You go ahead, you pull over Connor Moore, the transfer from Montana State, who has played primarily right tackle. He has played some left tackle so far this season, but he played pretty much everywhere left tackle at Montana State last year. You throw him there, and then you put Ashton Lepo, the guy that was your starting right tackle last year, back in that starting right tackle spot. So Ashton Lepo, well, he didn't play against USC, he didn't play against Youngstown because of injury. So that is maybe why that it was Connor Moore staying anchored at the right tackle position against USC, and then you bring in Rustin Young. So we'll see. I mean, Ashton Lepo, he did get 26 snaps against Boston College, all at right tackle, played fine enough in that game. So there's your 2 schools of thought. Number 1, hey, do you just play Rustin Young, promising player, get him some important snaps, and then have Connor Moore at right tackle? You use Ashton Lepo wherever you could use him. Or do you just go with the veteran experience? Connor Moore, you're a new left tackle. Ashton Lepo, you are back at starting right tackle. But here's maybe why Rustin Young might be the intriguing spot here, because, look, you're out of preseason games. You're not facing FCS teams anymore. There's no more cupcakes. But it's not the worst shakes if you're trying to break in a new left tackle here, because next up in your 4 games that Stanton Ramil could possibly miss, it's Nebraska. It's UCLA batting first. Guys, we've talked ad nauseum, and you guys are sick of it probably, or if you agree with me, still, you're probably sick of how much we've been talking about it, is the lack of pass rush. Guys, Nebraska has fewer quarterback hurries than Michigan State does so far this season. They are tied with Michigan State, just having 6 sacks on the season. So that's a long way of saying that Nebraska's front, I don't know, it's not like world-beating by any means. If you're going to break a guy in, well, this is going to be a team to do it against. Or how about the next team, UCLA? They only have 4 sacks so far. Guys, that is the worst in the Big Ten, and they aren't even playing good teams to start the season over there for UCLA. So, look, your tune-up games are done, but this is as toony-uppy as it could probably get for a left tackle against Nebraska, which will still be a tough spot on the road, but then at home against UCLA. Because once those 2 games are over, far cry from a tune-up game, guys. It's Indiana, who is 3rd in sacks in the Big Ten. They are 1st place in tackles for loss in the Big Ten. And then you face a Michigan team who has one of, the best 3 pass rushers in Barham. Not even in the conference, just in the nation. That guy is a dog. So, yes, you got some get-right spots, and then you got some really big tests here. But, yes, Stanton Ramil, he will be missed. But this is the joy of having some offensive line depth that, unfortunately, we have to carve into this season. I did just want to comment really quick that Wayne Matthews could possibly play this upcoming Saturday, which is ridiculous to me. I mean, and good for him. I mean, good for modern medicine and science. I mean, this is as crazy physically as it is mentally. The fact that he was carted off the field last week, the fact that we were just all hoping for news that he could even move his limbs in that LA hospital last week, and then just mentally to come back from that. Guys, he practiced over the weekend. It was limited, but still he was on the field in some capacity over the last weekend, Jonathan Smith said. And that speaks to how tough, both physically and mentally, this kid is, because, oh my God, look, no secret that I'm not as tough as a Big Ten football player. I think that we all know that by now. But golly gee willikers, I remember a few years ago, I threw my back out golfing, and it was the worst pain I've been in my entire life. And then when I got back on the saddle a few weeks later, It's the most ginger I've ever swung a club. I was going half speed. I can't imagine getting ambulanced off a football field, and then within 2 weeks, you're just going to go full bore right back at it. I mean, that speaks to medicine. That speaks to the training staff. That speaks to everyone that was involved in his recovery as much as it does what is going on between Wayne Matthews' ears, because that has got to be 5,000 times tougher than it is to come back from a bad golf swing. I just can't speak highly enough of the kid in the first place. But, man, after that, oh, my. Again, it's not guaranteed he's going to play Saturday, but just the fact that it's a conversation, unreal. So I just had to give a quick comment on that, guys. All right, we're going to be joined by Parker Fleming. Now, this guy is a huge analytical stats guy, and I know that can be intimidating to hear. Guys, he does such a great job at breaking it down just for the mouth breathers like myself, guys. So, guys, stick around segments 2 and 3 with Parker Fleming. But first, you need to talk all your ears off about Quo. That's right, guy. It's one of the tools that helps make a huge difference in business ownership. It's Quo, formerly known as Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system that you've heard me talk about time and time again, just with a new simple name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or relying on a landline, guys. And hey, their built-in AI agent is a game changer. It can answer calls after hours, capture leads, and keeps the business moving even when you're off the clock. So go ahead and see for yourself why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Again, guys, new company name, same great service. Get started for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockdowncollege. That's QUO.com/lockdowncollege. And if you've got an existing number with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. It's Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Also, guys, look your best with Alumni Hall, your #1 Michigan State shopping destination. You already know this by now, but I'll say it again. They have the largest selection of officially licensed gear. We're talking Nike. We're talking Columbia. We're talking Champion, Yeti, New Era, so much more, guys. They have apparel from kids to the adults. The entire family gets taken care of, and they have a huge selection of hats, gifts, all the tailgating gear you could ever need to make your setup the best in the lots this season. And guys, they're also taking care of the Spartan community, Michigan State students and faculty, as well as military and all first responders. You get 10% off with a valid ID in the store. And on top of all that, follow Alumni Hall on social media and download the Alumni Hall app, because even more deals and offers are over there. So pop into Alumni Hall in the Eastwood Town Center in Lansing, near the Apple Store, or shop online or through their app. And the best part is, for every $150 you spend, you will get $10 in hall cash to use for next time. So go ahead, grab that new game day look, or upgrade your tailgate with Alumni Hall, your ultimate Michigan State shopping destination. Absolutely stoked to have this guy back on the show. It is Parker Fleming. Guys, go follow him at Stats of War. If you already aren't, you probably are at this point if you're a college football fan. But guys, point blank, he is advanced stats for the mouth breathers of the world. I like that saying, Parker. That's really nice and accurate. Parker.
Yeah, I love that. I can't take credit for it, but it's good. Somebody replied with it, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what we need to do. So love that. And I think the hope is, we can do some fun stat stuff and make it accessible to the football fan, because that's ultimately what it's all about is football. So.
And you do an amazing job at that. You did an awesome job with it the last time you were on here. And even a guy like me, the mouth breatherest of all mouth breathers, followed it pretty well. So, hey, I had to, if I can talk, drag you back on this show. So without further ado, let's talk about this Michigan State team here. And before, we go into all the stats and everything, just full disclaimer, guys, we are recording Friday before the bye week. So as far as national rankings, some things might be a little off, but nevertheless, the numbers won't be too far away no matter what happens this bye week. So Parker, with that said, Michigan State sitting at a cool 3-1. What is the most surprising thing that jumps off to you off the page, for better or for worse? What's really turning your head here about Michigan State?
Yeah, I think for better, just looking at a team that, the last couple of years has not necessarily been complete and been where they want to be overall. The balance on offense is really nice. I do opponent adjusted EPA per play. So kind of adjust for, who did you play and tamp down some outliers and stuff. And early season, those numbers are a little wonky, but generally directionally correct. Michigan State is 32nd in EPA per rush. They're 41st in EPA per dropback, and they're right in the middle in rush rate over expected. So they are very balanced, and both units of the offense do look to be functioning, living, breathing football units, which, no insult to past Michigan State teams, like that's progress, right? And
just honest, right? Yeah.
And so I think that's an encouraging step early on against some legitimately tough opponents to start. The other thing that stood out, I think that was really great, the run defense has been really good with explosives. The success rate is, just middle of the pack, but early season that should continue to trend upward. They're 25th in EPA per rush on defense. So doing a good job against the run game, and not sacrificing too much on the pass game defensively. They're only 63rd in EPA per dropback. So if I'm surprised positively by Michigan State this year, they've taken positive steps in both units on offense, and the run defense seems to be forming a coherent identity and being really a force to be reckoned with.
That's good to know, because going into that USC game, that was one of our talking points, is that say what you will about the Michigan State defense, and we have said plenty about the Michigan State defense, but they are limiting explosive run plays. Then that USC game happens, and I'm starting to think like, that's going to skew some numbers here, but it's actually like it wasn't as damaging as maybe the common person might think as far as explosive plays given up.
Yeah, and I mean, I have USC rated really, really highly. So what good teams are going to do against excellent teams is give up some explosive plays. So it's less like it's not that those didn't happen. It was more so, hey, we just kind of expected those to happen for those plays.
How about for worse? Is there anything that is like highlighted in bright, bold red that jumps off the page about Michigan State that we should be kind of hovering our finger over the panic button, or just outright pushing the panic button over?
Yeah, things I don't like, especially early in the season, are extreme tails on early downs EPA. So that kind of filters out, when play is a little bit more open, when it is a little bit more creative by the offense, how are you responding and attacking? And Michigan State right now is 116th on early downs EPA, allowing 0.18 points per play on first and second down. That's just not great. That's just not a situation where you're going to stop opponents consistently. You're always playing catch up. You're really relying on your power run game, because you're going to face a lot of third and shorts if you face third downs at all. And so that one is one that was really glaring and struck out. The other area for concern on the offense, just to kind of play both sides of offense and defense, is that quality drive rate is not excellent. They're 74th in quality drive rate, which means 40% of their drives involve a big play touchdown or a first down inside the opponent's 40. That they're not generating those opportunities a lot. They're capitalizing on them quite well. They're 29th in points per quality drive, but it does seem like a team that is 23rd in starting field position, averaging almost their own 29 in starting field position, should be getting in those advantageous situations more often. And so that kind of drive to drive. So you think about, EPA is more play to play success. The quality drive rate is more drive to drive success. It does look like Michigan State is having a little bit of trouble replicating success across drives and generating those quality opportunities, keeping up that pressure on the defense, opposing defense. When we pull that together, that comes into a quality drive ratio of 45.2. That's 88th in the nation. And what that means is Michigan State is only controlling 45% of the quality drives in a single game, of the good opportunities. And that's just not a great game control kind of game state. That's something that, even as the offense has been a little balanced, you think, man, I'd love to see a little bit more consistency across drives. I'd love to see them a little more in control of their games.
So let's stick with the offense here, because that's fascinating, because to me it seems like, yes, this offense has taken strides from last year. And yes, we understand that the bar was pretty much set on the floor for the last few seasons. They haven't broke 20 points per game in the last 2 years. So the only way to seemingly go was up. Also, Aiden Childs does look fantastic. You have some great NFL wide receivers there. But when you bring up what you just did, how much has this offense improved? Would you use the word slightly? Would you use the word drastically? Or is there something in the numbers that says like this offense actually, oddly enough, hasn't improved as much as we have thought it has?
Yeah, so these are early season numbers, and so we want to take them with a grain of salt, hold them with an open hand. But they're 35th right now in overall opponent-adjusted EPA per play. That puts them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th in the Big Ten to start right now. If we look at 2024, they were 75th overall, which put them ahead of only Northwestern and Purdue. So
it felt like it. Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the bar was pretty low, but it does seem to appear that Michigan State is taking that step forward into having a true top half Big Ten offense, which again is progress kind of moving up there. And the early returns on that offense are good.
how much has the defense declined? And like this has been a big talking point, not just after the USC game, where obviously they just ran into a superior athletic team, but look, it wasn't like the Youngstown State game, even in a win. It wasn't great shakes. The Boston College game, obviously, they let a lot of yards get dropped on them through the air. Is it a big step back on defense? Is it not as bad? Anything year over year that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, so last year they were 59th in the nation, 16th in the Big Ten in EPA per play on defense. If we pull up for this season and sort again by defense, they're top half. So they're 28th overall. That puts them at 8th in the nation. Again, early season, that's going to fluctuate a little bit, but some of that is just saying like, hey, don't be fooled by the USC game per se. Like you're going to give up a lot of points to a good offense, and there's a lot of drives in that and the Boston College game. So I know fans see, oh, you gave up 40, oh, you gave up 45. Well, you got to think about the number of drives as well too, and kind of per play and per drive rates there. So they're playing at a much faster pace than they were last year, but the defense does look to be markedly improved as well, albeit with the caveat that, the success rate on defense and the early downs EPA has not been great.
Yeah. Fascinating. Okay, that's going to put me in my place then, because I've been saying loud and proud that I'm not convinced this defense is any better. As a matter of fact, I think they've taken a step back, but hey, that's where numbers come into play, guys. Numbers do not lie. That's why we got Parker on to check me once in a while. I like that. There we go.
Well, and the eternal battle of college football fandom is this hedonic adaptation, right? Like the offense was bad last year, and so the offense gets better. Even if the defense didn't change, you'd start looking over the fence of the defense and be like, hey, the offense is good now. What the heck, guys? Why aren't you better? And so it's always
yell at something. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Of course. Yeah. What am I going to do? Have a calm, relaxed Saturday? Or get people out of your mind? No, absolutely not. The NFL season, it is here, guys, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Use it on futures. Use it on props. Use it on same-game parlay, something that I really enjoyed on Sunday night because that was a tough Saturday slate for your boy. But, guys, we got it all back because the same-game parlay, I kept it simple. Dak Prescott over 225 passing yards, okay? Jake Ferguson, anytime touchdown score. Romeo Doubs, 3 receptions. I should have gone 3 touchdowns. I would be in a yacht right now, but nope. We kept it simple, we kept it light, and we cashed in with FanDuel. And best of all, guys, getting your money withdrawn from FanDuel, lickety-split process. They take care of you guys. They keep it fun on game days, and the customer service second to none over there. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started, guys. Again, that is FanDuel.com. Look, of everything that can be fixed, whether it is something on offense, whether it is something on defense, both sides of the ball here, is there anything that's more easily fixable, quote-unquote, in the early stages of a season than maybe some other stats that might just say, well, you are who you are and just get used to it for the rest of the season?
Yeah, so we are getting close to kind of that point where obviously teams can change, teams can get hot, but after about 5 games versus FBS competition, we start to feel pretty good about what a team is. So a lot of things can change between now and then. I think some things that can improve, like obviously I mentioned the early downs EPA on defense, like that's got to get better. Mm-hmm. The raw 3rd and 4th down success rate number, they're 88th in the nation, 45% conversion allowed. Okay. That's going to get better because they're not going to play offenses as good as USC going forward. So we'll see some trends and some fixes there. One thing that I look for in teams, and, sometimes on the offense particularly, it does seem to be kind of this like schematic quality when you don't finish drives well. Yeah. And whether it's schematic, whether it's your quarterback can't process, whether it's the field gets short and you get out athleted there as well, outmaneuvered. And so one of those 3 things on defense, it kind of is a reflection of who you played to some extent. And so again, BC really good at finishing drives historically. USC been really good against finishing drives historically. So I expect that to normalize a little bit and there to be marketed things against lesser competition that Michigan State can improve on. I wouldn't expect them to be 99th in quality drive rate if we're sitting here on December 1st looking back at the season. And I wouldn't expect them to be out of the top 100 in early downs EPA either. So I expect both of those to be kind of early season blips and improve.
If you had a magic green and white wand and you could just drop it on any stat and put them drastically improve from where they sit right now, is it that finishing the quality drives rate? Is it the early down success rate for the defense? Or is it something that you really haven't brought up yet? Where would you go if you could just grant us one wish, Mr. Fleming?
Yeah. So the Twitter answer is to say, I just want you to score more points, right? Like I want,
I'll take
I
that.
want you to be
Sure,
number one in
guys.
points per game, right?
Right. More
I think the
sacks.
biggest thing there would actually be the quality drive rate. Because
Okay.
there is some randomness in finishing drives and because, volume versus efficiency is kind of a trade-off there. I'd much rather you be generating a ton of quality opportunities. That's going to have downstream effects on your defense as well. Because you're going to be in favorable field position more often and kind of take some pressure off of them. So that's the one that I would want to improve most on offense and defense is just saying, can you control the quality drives in a game? And everything else is kind of downstream from that. Obviously, those go together, right? Your early downs EPA gets better. Your quality drive rate's going to get better. On defense, if you're stopping them on early downs better, they're going to be in third down more. They're going to convert less, and that'll go better. But I think that would be kind of the, not necessarily a causal variable, but saying like as a barometer for, hey, things are going pretty well. If this one variable increases, the little stock ticker variable, that's what I'd be looking at.
And let's just look ahead to this Saturday because this is a big game for Michigan State. They're all big games. Who are we kidding? I mean, you only get 12 of these per year in the regular season, Parker. But man, oh man, could they really use a nice little road win here under Jonathan Smith? Where on earth is Nebraska vulnerable? I mean, we'll get into like where they're strong, whatever. But let's just start us with an upbeat stat here, Parker. You got anything for us, or are they just a juggernaut over in Lincoln?
Yeah, I think there's three things that Nebraska kind of stands out early season. One, looking back on their season, like that Cincinnati game, they probably could have lost that, right?
Certainly,
I think very easily. And so, they're not total wagon status or anything. Three things that stand out. One, they're 81st in EPA per rush right now. So the run game is not as good as the rest of the defense.
Okay.
They are also being rushed against a whole bunch. Some of that is just playing Michigan and Cincinnati, teams that are going to run a lot. But,
sure.
Where that also kind of comes back in is their EPA per dropback, their passing defense is 28th. But it hasn't really been tested that much because the teams are rushing so much. So there's opportunities to exploit this defense in the pass defense. I don't think their defensive line is very good. I think multiple people have called that out, and the run defense being bad is part of that. Also, the line being bad means they're not getting good pressure, which puts more pressure on the defensive back. So more volume of passing should be able to kind of get through those chains and stress the defensive backfield as well. So those two are ones that I think are really really interesting. They're not great on early downs EPA. So that's an opportunity on defense again to capitalize early, stay ahead of the chains, avoid those situations that, a bad defense is going to get more sacks if they get more third and longs, right? Stay out of third and longs and you're going to be good there. On offense, the run game has not looked good. So run game on both sides. Maybe we're seeing something about Nebraska's trenches and like their skill positions and quarterback. They invested a lot in their line isn't as great.
Certainly. Right.
So 72nd in EPA per rush, 106th in rushing success rate allowed. They're that's on offense. And so they are relying, on those third and fourth down conversions. They're 27th in the nation on third and fourth down conversion. Like they are reliant on getting behind schedule and then trying to get ahead, let Raiola run around and do his thing. So insofar as you can keep them off schedule and really capitalize on those third and fourth downs, that's how you get this offense off book.
Love that. And you know what else I love too? I love having like a little jolt in the heart. I need some fear to walk out with. It can't be all bad for Nebraska, obviously. So what are some things that we got to keep an eye on? And I say we as if I have any impact on this game coming up or any of the listeners do. But truly, like as we're sitting here, wondering what we could lose sleep over, what would it be?
Yeah, let's talk about the passing game. True to Dana Holgerson's history, they are doing the death by 1,000 cuts thing. They're fourth in offensive success rate, 40th in EPA per dropback. So it's not so much that they're going to hit the big bomb on you. And I think even last week, like Raiola's only big passing play was the Hail Mary at the half. And they're going to generate successes. They're going to use the short passing game as an extension of the run game, especially with the offensive line issues. And Michigan State's defensive success rate against the pass is 117th. That's not great. That seems like a recipe for, Nebraska has 7 million passes averaging 4.2 yards a pass, and they've scored 50 points, right? Like that's a little worrisome there. You're not as worried about the explosive play. You're worried about the consistent success there. And then on defense, they are 10th in defensive success rate allowed against the dropback. They are 28th in EPA per dropback. And so that's a little bit worse, it kind of means Childs needs to make it count. If he can't if he can't generate those big plays, if they can't make their passing successes into big chunk plays, then there's going to be a lot of completions that don't move the ball down the field really, really well. So the pass game is overall where I'm worried. One last thing I'll flag, just the quality drive ratio. Nebraska is 9th, controlling 68.8% of quality drives. And so that, again, comes into Michigan State has to generate more opportunities, and they've got to finish the ones they get, because Nebraska is going to, create a high volume of opportunities and really force you to keep up with them.
Do you have a lean in this game? And obviously this isn't just coming off the top of your head as a hunch. You got numbers behind it, but what are we looking at as far as your prediction comes?
Yeah, I wonder where it will open. And obviously with early season, we'll phase in new data after Nebraska plays this weekend. And so it'll change a little bit. Right now, I've got Nebraska at about a 65% win probability, somewhere in the 31 to 23 range of final score. So not impossible for Michigan State. I think from an analytics standpoint, kind of keeping gambling out of it, because I'm increasingly bored by that. But just from a breakdown standpoint, the numbers are saying okay, we had a high prior on Nebraska, and they've shown us some evidence that they can get there. Yeah. We had a low prior on Michigan State, and in some ways, I feel like there's a path for them to be really good, but we just don't have enough evidence yet. So I would not surprise me for Michigan State to make this a very competitive game and say, oh yeah, absolutely. The good things they're good at, those are sustainable and they're going to keep going. But it also, preseason priors are good and kind of informative. And that might be the case that, the better, where we feel like the better talented and better constructed team is Nebraska, that one kind of comes through. So that's about, sometimes I disagree with the number here. I think that's generally fair, is Nebraska by a little more than a touchdown.
65%. Look, for my brain, that's close enough to 50. I don't mind that number. That's a-okay. It's below 80. That's a coin toss to me. So we will take it.
With a weighted coin, every football game is a coin flop. So there's a lot of variance.
Love it. And just I've loved this chat, Parker. Hey, cannot thank you enough for your time, your insight, and just for making all these crazy numbers just so easy to follow. You do a great job, and that's why we're going to try our best to get advanced stats for mouth breathers trademarked by the end of this week here, just for you, because that was too good from that follower that you have over there. So guys, if you don't follow him already, what are you doing with your life? Stats War on Twitter. It is just that easy. And guys, we will be back tomorrow, because you already know this. We do this 5 days a week right here at Locked on Spartans. Now, until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your week, especially you, Parker. Love you all. Go green.